Okay, let's dive right into a really crucial question. How do you actually test your own emotional maturity? It's one of life's weirdest puzzles, isn't it? The age on your driver's license, well, it doesn't always match up with how you actually handle your feelings.
I mean, you ever feel like you're, say, 55 on the outside, but maybe 4.5 on the inside? Especially in those moments when your impulses just kind of take over? Well, if you do, you're not alone. This disconnect is surprisingly common, mainly because our emotional development just doesn't automatically keep pace with our physical growth.
All right, so how do we figure out our real emotional age then? Well, it turns out there's one single core question we can ask ourselves. It's a simple test, really, but it gets right to the heart of the matter. And here it is. I want you to really take a moment with this one. When someone you depend on disappoints you, what is your characteristic way of responding? And be honest with yourself here. That go-to reaction you have in that moment, that split second when you feel let down, it's incredibly revealing.
So based on your answer, we can actually start to see a few common patterns emerge. Let's start with what we'll call the 3 classic immature responses. Think of these as the signs that our emotional age might just be a little bit younger than we thought.
First up, we've got sulking. You know the drill. This is when we get deeply upset about something, but we absolutely refuse to explain what's wrong. Instead, we just retreat into this stony silence, secretly hoping the other person will somehow magically figure it out.
So what's the psychology behind that? Well, we're basically hoping that the other person can read our minds. A lot like an infant might hope a parent would just know what's wrong. We just feel way too fragile to come right out and say, hey, that really hurt.
All right, the second immature response is fury. And we're not just talking about getting angry here. We're talking about a completely disproportionate rage. Someone disappoints us and we just explode. We hit back with way more force than the situation ever called for. But here's the twist. This rage isn't a sign of strength. Not at all. It's the exact opposite. See, our only way of feeling like we're in control is to mimic an aggrieved emperor or a taunted tiger. But on the inside, we're actually feeling terrified and completely helpless. That fury is just a mask for deep-seated fear.
And the third response? Going cold. This is where we put up this massive, impenetrable wall of indifference. Someone hurts us, and we just pretend we don't care. At all. It's this huge, strenuous performance of being completely unaffected.
And yep, you guessed it, this isn't strength either. It's a defense mechanism, pure and simple. Admitting that we're hurt just feels way too vulnerable, way too dangerous. It's a state where, as the saying goes, not feeling anything may have replaced the enormous threat of being fully alive. It's really just a strategy to avoid pain.
Okay, so those are the common pitfalls, the immature responses. But enough about that. What does the other side of the coin look like? Let's dive into the 3 mature responses. These are the true hallmarks of emotional adulthood. So instead of sulking, the mature response is having the capacity to explain. It's a world of difference, right? It's moving from just hoping someone can read your mind to actually having faith in yourself, faith that you can find the words to make yourself understood calmly and clearly.
Next up, instead of flying into a rage, we have the capacity to stay calm. See, the emotionally mature person knows they don't have to shout immediately. They have the space to give the other person the benefit of the doubt because they understand that if they need to assert themselves later, they still can. It's all about confidence, not aggression.
And finally, instead of going cold and putting up that wall, there's the capacity to be vulnerable. And honestly, this might be the hardest one of all. It means having the raw courage to admit, yes, I care. Yes, what you did actually hurt me, and I need your help to fix this. And that is a sign of profound inner strength. So how do we get there? What's the actual path to maturity look like? Well, you can think of it like this. It's all about learning the language of emotional adulthood. And it's a language built on the very principles we just walked through.
And you can distill these 3 mature responses down into 3 cardinal virtues: communication, trust, and vulnerability. These are the absolute pillars. You need communication to explain, trust to stay calm, and vulnerability to truly connect.
And this brings us right back to that core idea. Emotional maturity is a language. For some lucky people, it's their native tongue, something they were gifted in a warm and nourishing childhood. But for many, many others, it's a second language, one that has to be learned, sometimes with a lot of effort, as an adult.
And just like learning any new language, it takes time. We're talking maybe 5, even 10,000 hours of patient practice. But you know what? Thinking about it this way is so powerful because it removes the shame. It reframes it as a concrete, achievable skill that you can develop over time.
So if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. If this stuff doesn't come naturally to you, there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. Seriously, at least half of us weren't brought up in the land of emotional literacy. We might have simply never heard this language spoken fluently. So it is more than okay to be a beginner.
Which brings us to our final thought. If emotional